Come on, Panasonic. Okay. All right, so I was recently in Prospect Park. I was shooting film on this guy, the Canon F1, but that's not what this video is about. While I do love to shoot film, naturally, as it happens, people that love to shoot film have a pretty big overlap with Fuji cameras. And I think most people understand why that is. And it's because of Fuji's film simulations, the way they make their cameras, the way they're laid out. I took this guy, the XT4, out recently just for video. I realized something about the XT4, and it's not a realization. It's not a new realization. It's something that I'm reminded of every time I use a Fuji camera for video. There's definitely quirks and shortcomings and stuff, but it hit me that if I didn't have an XT4 right now, with the XH2 coming out and the prices on these guys about to crater, which sucks for me, if I want to sell this and get the XH2S, which I really want to do and I might end up doing because man, it really is amazing. And if you're one of the few people that haven't heard about Fuji throwing down the gauntlet with the Fuji XH2 with the internal ProRes and stuff, basically a cheap Alexa. If you don't have an XT4 and you want an XH2 or an XH2S and you shoot a lot of video along with your stills, think about the XT4. We're talking Cinema 4K, 420, not 422. The chroma sampling is 420 is good enough. YouTube compression kills everything as it is. So I went out shooting film, getting some video, and I realized that, man, if you have an XT4 right now, you're golden, you're set. You want to sell it, go ahead and sell it. You want an XH2S, but you're not sure about it, but you're not absolutely sure you're going to be using the ProRes codecs. But this has all intra 420 10-bit. But the real secret to the XT4 and the Fuji cameras in general, which I think people kind of claim is a deterrent to Fuji, or kind of makes them into like a second tier video option for a lot of prosumer and professional and very serious video people. It's because it's a crop sensor. And I gotta be honest, I think when it comes to video, if you're not a shallow depth of field stan, you care more about composition and sharpness, especially clinical sharpness, you can get that out of even a lot of vintage lenses, because that crop sensor ends up becoming an attribute once your approach to shooting video changes. Not changes, or maybe you see it in a slightly different light. What you end up realizing is that if you nail your composition, and if you're shooting people, if you're shooting like films, then your blocking and your movements, how you pull focus, or how you work with depth of field versus just putting everything at shallow depth of field and wanting to shoot full frame. Because of that, the crop sensor, the Super 35 APS-C, APS-H formats, the crop formats, end up becoming a massive attribute. Now, when it comes to the XT4, that X-Trans sensor is insanely sharp as it is, so you're going to get really sharp video, not regardless of the lens, but if your lens is decently sharp, especially in the middle, you're going to get insanely sharp video. You're going to get great contrast. If the coatings are intact, if it's fairly modern coatings, you're going to get a beautiful image. When you take this, and then you add one of these guys. Now, oh, it's still on face tracking. Good job, Panasonic. This is a Zeiss ZM 35mm f2. And you're shooting 10-bit 420 Cinema 4K. You get a clinical image out of this. If you're about the, sharpest, decent contrast image, this type of setup, even vintage lenses, because what you're getting is you're getting the best part of the lens image circle on a crop sensor, and it's really hard to beat that with full frame and full frame lenses. because you're going to deal with vignetting, you're going to deal with the out of focus areas, the bokeh, the barrel distortion or pincushion distortion is going to be it's going to be even more exaggerated on full frame. So when you're using full frame lenses on full frame sensors, you have those issues that you can deal with if you're really after a perfect clinical image. If you want minimal hassle and you want a really, really good, clean, crisp, clear image, that crop sensor, believe me, it's an attribute. It's nothing to fuss about too much. Get yourself, and look at this setup, absolutely tiny. And you've got a damn near professional run and gun rig, and the IBIS is pretty decent. I'm not going to lie, on the XT4, the IBIS is still good. So now that the XH2S is out, it's time for people like me, and I think there's a lot of us out there that buy older gear that's still great by today's standards at like insane value. If you're looking for stuff that's pretty much pro level and you want a light rig that has really great colors, and like I said, that crop becomes an attribute. The XH2S is amazing. The XT4, don't sleep on that now. If you want a great deal in a camera that can get you an absolutely beautiful image, and especially if you love clinical stuff, throw fairly modern, and certain vintage lenses you can get this as well, full frame lenses, throw them on there, adapt them to the crop sensor, and get beautiful, beautiful, sharp, contrasty, punchy images with detail on top of detail that people on YouTube won't even be able to ever see, but it'll make you happy. And that's what this is about. This is about the gear and being happy in the pursuit of gear. Let's face it, we're here for the gear.